Hey fanatics, Hollywood's about to have a serious problem with this new confession in town. Corey Feldman, the 80s favorite child star for movies like Stand By Me and The Goonies, has finally decided he's had enough. He recently sat down in an interview and revealed that the industry actually killed off his friends Corey Haiman and River Phoenix. He also talked about pedophilia being the biggest problem plaguing the industry, and he has names. But the real horror came when he started revisiting his past, back when he and his best friend Corey Haim were tight. He made a shocking confession. Both of them had to deal with sexual abuse head-on. Feldman has made it very clear that Hollywood is the real culprit behind the tragic deaths of Corey Haim and River Phoenix. It's heavy, no doubt, but it's a conversation that needs to happen. So amid all the secrecy and efforts to keep the truth hidden, Corey stands firm and he's dead set on exposing those who are responsible. Stay tuned as we dig deeper into the revelations of a once innocent child star who lost his friends to the industry's pedophilia. And if you'd like to stay in the loop with all the dark confessions coming out of Hollywood, just hit that subscribe button and we've got you covered. Feldman and Haim's friendship took off when they were both cast in The Lost Boys. It was like fate. They shared the same name, were the same age, and even had the same religion. According to Feldman, Haim opened up to him about a chilling conversation with his own abuser, who told him that he had to do these things to make it in the industry. Fast forward a year, and Feldman reveals that he was regularly subjected to molestation by John Grissom, now a convicted file. Grissom had been hired by Feldman's father to take care of him. Trying to escape from Grissom's clutches, the young star sought refuge with a man he refers to as Ralph Kaufman in his book, who has been identified as Alfie Hoffman. This guy ran a club for young Hollywood stars, and sadly, Feldman says he was molested by him too. Haim's story is honestly so heartbreaking. The young actor made a splash in the 80s with movies like The Lost Boys and License to Drive. You see, Haim's rise to stardom happened at a very young age, and that kind of early exposure of fame can really mess with your head. The pressure of constantly being in the spotlight, the weight of expectations, and the need to maintain a certain image are all there. But perhaps the most disturbing part is how Haim, along with his close friend Corey Feldman, also faced the weight of sexual abuse at the hands of powerful figures within Hollywood, and we're told that it's normal in this business. Another former child actor, Allison Arngrim, shared what she'd heard. "I literally heard that the two Coreys were passed around. The word was they were given drugs and being used for sex. At first, these guys were forced into drugs so they'd become easy victims of rape, and later on, when the industry washed its hands of them, they turned to drugs as a way to cope with all the pain and trauma. It was a temporary relief from the relentless scrutiny and the emotional scars left by the alleged abuse. All until March 10, 2010, when Haim died at the age of 38. The cause of his death was, of course, related to substance abuse. He had been struggling with addiction for years, and his death was attributed to pneumonia and a mix of drugs in his system, including prescription and over-the-counter medications. The coroner's report indicated that his heart and lungs were significantly damaged due to his long-standing substance abuse issues, which contributed to his pneumonia and ultimately led to his death. A couple of years back, there was a conversation with Rob Reiner, the director of the movie Stand By Me. He discussed the fates of all four child stars from the film. Feldman claims River Phoenix, who overdosed at 23, was abused, while Will Wheaton and Jerry O'Connell seem to have made it through without the same kind of scars. Rayner was asked if this kind of outcome was a typical roll of the dice for child actors. You know, a 50-50 chance of turning out okay. His take was that it's not exactly about being a child actor, but more about whether they have a solid support system to handle the challenges. So, in a way, it's not really the movies themselves, but the role of parents that could make or break things. After all, even though Feldman's been talking about a conspiracy in the movie biz, the guys he's named as abusers aren't exactly big-shot Hollywood execs. It's unlikely they had much protection. But he claimed that the lack of proper support systems, the exploitation, and the pressure to conform is all what the industry is about. A toxic mix that has taken the lives of many actors, including River Phoenix. The talented actor who burst onto the scene in the 80s with his amazing performances in movies like Stand By Me and My Own Private Idaho. Feldman also shared the tragic story of his death and how the industry giants were behind it. Phoenix's journey into fame started at a young age, much like Corey Haim's, and of course, the pressures of early stardom were overwhelming. But there's another layer to River Phoenix's story, a layer that involves the underbelly of Hollywood yet again. Sadly, he was also exposed to the darker side of the industry, including substance abuse and even alleged sexual abuse. Just like Corey Haim, he stuck to drugs as a way to cope with the pain he was experiencing. But the seductive escape that drugs offer from the demands of fame and the emotional scars of his past was a very dangerous refuge. Phoenix tragically passed away on October 31, 1993 at the age of 23. He died outside the Viper Room, a nightclub in West Hollywood, California. The cause of his death was a drug overdose. He had ingested a lethal combination of cocaine and heroin, which led to a cardiac arrest, and despite efforts to save him, he was pronounced dead at the hospital. It's hard not to draw parallels between Corey Haim's story and River Phoenix's journey. Both fell victim to the industry and were forced into lifestyles that cut their lives short. Their deaths really go a long way to show how the entertainment world treats its young talents. Let's dive deeper into Corey Feldman's own story and hope his fate is different from what his friends suffered. Born and raised just outside of Los Angeles, Feldman grew up with a mostly absent musician dad and a mom who used to work at the Playboy Club. According to him, his parents saw a potential moneymaker in him and started sending him to auditions when he was barely 3. By the time he was 4, his mom even bleached his hair, and a few years later, she had him on diet pills, all in the hope of improving his chances at landing roles. He actually legally separated from his parents when he was a teenager, a move that other child stars like Drew Barrymore and Macaulay Culkin later made too. The relationship between child stars and their parents isn't usually a happy one, unfortunately. Feldman steadily climbed the ladder, going from doing commercials to sitcoms and eventually making it to the big screen. He loved being on set with other kids. It was a way to escape what he calls his crappy home life with parents who were sometimes violent. He talks about his happier phase in his life in his 2013 memoir, which, just like Feldman himself and his quirky house, seems pretty outrageous at first glance. His breakthrough came with the 1985 hit film The Goonies, propelling him into the limelight and endearing him to audiences globally. This success was followed by another iconic role in Stand By Me, solidifying his status as a promising child actor. Throughout the late 1980s and early 1990s, Feldman's star continued to rise with appearances in hit films like The Lost Boys and License to Drive. However, he was completely washed up by the age of 19 and was rendered unemployable. So as an adult, he came forward as a survivor of child sexual abuse. He disclosed that he was abused by a man who worked as an assistant to his father during his early industry years. This individual not only violated his trust, but also contributed to his descent into drug addiction, further compounding the trauma. Feldman's pursuit of justice led him to identify the man as actor and former personal assistant Cloyd John Grissom. He also accused other industry figures, including child attorney Marty Wise, of sexual abuse. Wise was found guilty of child molestation charges in 2012, sending shockwaves through the industry. Later on, the death of Corey Haim prompted Feldman to film the documentary My Truth: The Rape of the Two Coreys. It aims to expose their rapists and the alleged conspiracy to protect them. The documentary's release was met with so many disruptions, and Feldman's safety concerns got so bad that he had to leave the country. That's all on this for now. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Catch you in the next one!